This thing screws forever. Didn't help that I just drank a glass of ice water. I'm gonna use the two-handed technique. See? And I think I've got two different size nuts on here. So who puts odd size nuts and bolts on things? It's soft, pliable rubber. It's not gross. That is dry as a bone. And we're just gonna try to fat finger this turret. Whew. Let's mount you in a different way. And if you don't have enough hands, you've always got a mouth, so use it. I really need more layers. Didn't help that I just drank a glass of ice water. Anyways, we are almost there. We literally only have 2 more tasks, unless I randomly find another one. I just found it. I've got to do the door, but I probably won't be doing that while I'm at my parents'. I will bring that home. I'll do the soundproofing, I'll fix the window, I'll do all that at home. It's stuff that I can do very easily there. There is a snowstorm coming this weekend again, so I want to make sure I get back to Philly before that hits, if possible, so we're going to get a move on. I've got the shifter rebuild kit finally. It comes with a new upper cover. This one was just torn to pieces and had major holes in it. It comes with a lower seal. Mine was still intact, but it was starting to crack and it's pretty dry. We'll look at that when we take it out. It comes with brand new bushings and all that stuff. It even has the plastic one on the inside, but I went the extra mile and I got the brass bushing instead. Now this is going to be much more durable and hopefully a little bit smoother than the plastic one that normally comes in the kit. So we'll throw the plastic one out, we don't need it. Well, maybe we'll keep it just in case, but this brass one should hopefully provide a much better experience. So we've got to take the console back out and start taking things out. I also forgot, I've got to get some extra bolts because those 2 nuts that were underneath, we bent those out of place. So if I don't want my new cover to leak fluids and noise and heat and all the other stuff into the cabin, I definitely want to make sure that all 4 bolts go on. So let's get to it. My hands don't work when it's cold. Okay, so those are good. We're gonna put them in this box so we don't lose them. Let's get some wires out of the way. Don't forget to take the shift knob off. This thing screws forever. If you're really good, you use the two-handed technique, this goes so much faster. See? And we'll just let that sit back there for the moment. Take our brand new insulation off, put that up there, and we are ready. Okay, and I've got my sockets. And I think I've got 2 different size nuts on here. Let's check it out. Oh, it's definitely not gonna be a 9. What is this? Who puts odd size nuts and bolts on things? Apparently I do. Old, new. See, it's much better. There's no holes. It's soft, pliable rubber. It's not gross. Yep, chuck it. Still got to take this off. And if you see, you should not see that. This should not be visible, this metal ball. So definitely good thing we're replacing it. And in every video I watch, there's a lot of stuff in here. So we're gonna get our rag ready to catch any fluids because we don't want it getting on the carpet. Let's get in neutral. Just pull it right up. Okay. Well, there's supposed to be fluid in there. This looks pretty dry, unfortunately. Still has the plastic bushing, but we can rub some of this off. And we'll end up just cutting this rubber. There's no need to really save it. So that is dry as a bone. Someone hasn't been maintaining this car. Yep. Take another trip out. All right, let's see if we can get you to see what I see. Here is the shifter turret. And as you can see, it's pretty gunked up. It's just really dirty and greasy in there, and I don't know how much we're going to be able to clean it. So this may be kind of a two-parter where we rebuild the shifter turret, we clean it as well as we can, but we don't go the extra mile and really get everything out. So this is actually pretty gross. I'm used to people, when they take it out and I see a video, there's still fluid in it. And specifically, it tends to be either your trans fluid or your power steering fluid. Apparently in the NA, so the first generation Miata, you can use either, and people seem to prefer the lighter weight, the lower viscosity fluids because it seems to make a smoother shift. And I've been having some rough shifts. I don't know if that's because there's no fluid in my turret or if it's because something else might be wrong, but we'll go ahead and try the power steering fluid. At least in the NA version, there's no connection between the turret and the transmission. Apparently, based on what I found on the forums, the 6-speed from the NB does not need fluid, but the 6-speed from the NC does, and it has a seal connecting the shifter turret to the transmission. So I know that's a mouthful, but if you literally just Google Miata shifter turret oil, one of the first, if not the first, search result has an entire chain of conversations that kind of goes into some of those details. So let's get that cleaned up real quick and start rebuilding the shifter so we can take the car out and hopefully get the hot fluid swapped. So we have, for reference, our replacement kit so we can see all the different pieces that come in with it. I believe, if we look at these, yeah, I don't know. So we're just going to pay attention as we take things out and make sure that we put as many things in as we took out. Okay, I guess we won't be taking things out. Oh man, let's scrape a little bit of this up so you can see. That should not be in the housing. That's not a good indication of maintenance or care being given to the shifter turret itself. So, all right, I did my own internet research. I figured out what is left in this process, and we are good to go. And we're just gonna try to fat finger this turret and try to clean it up as best we can. Well, I think that's about as clean as we're going to be able to get it, at least with the tools and equipment that we have available to us. No, wait, I lied. There's a tiny drop of fluid in there. It's just way in the back where I can't see it. All right, yeah, let's get going. So, I mentioned before that the internet has a variety of different recommendations. For you and for the internet, I'm going to try using my power steering fluid. This shouldn't ruin anything, so we'll report back and I'll let you know how good the shifting experience is with this update. And again, we don't want to make a mess, so I'm just going to make a nice, neat rag kind of protective wrapper here, especially since we don't have a nice spout to pour out of. We've just got this big clunky bottle. And when I fill it up, if you remember when I looked in, there's a big kind of square piece with a hole in the middle. all you want is the fluid to come up to the top of that. You don't need it any higher. It doesn't need to come inside this lip. It just needs to cover that little metal piece. And once that's it, you're done. No more. According to Greg, it's about 80 or 90 milliliters. And just like him, I'm measuring this very precisely to make sure that I don't overflow it. That's perfect. And we didn't make a mess. Let's not jinx it. I gotta be honest, the red fluid's kind of cool in there. I might have overfilled it just a tad, but that's okay. All of this will be fine in the end. Next up, we need to get our bushings out. All right, and with that notch facing forward, we'll slide it in and under. If you have an NB, there's actually two of them, but you can hammer them out. You can hammer one of them out at least. So you just tap it in, or you use a pair of pliers to squeeze it through so that you can get this piece in there. We'll just use some force. I thought it was going to be easier. Let me grab something flat. We have my socket wrench here. And I'm just going to put it on that edge, kind of tap it on the top to get it into place. Perfect. And I'm using that as opposed to a screwdriver so I don't damage the plastic. This is much less likely to cause problems. And yet I see a problem. Okay, when I did that, the metal clip that goes around it actually kind of bent itself off a little. So let me figure out where those pieces just went. Well, I see what the problem was, and I actually bent that metal piece. So we're going to go grab some pliers so I can bend that so it's straight again. That lip must have caught on the underside, and when I forced it in, it bent this piece up. So let's go get that fixed real quick. Yet another pro tip. Don't force things that shouldn't be forced. Semi-repaired, we'll just rotate it a bit so that's no longer the side that's going in the front. This time we're going to try to do it without forcing. Oh, yes. Okay, so the technique there, in case you didn't catch it, was I just stuck my thumb on that lip and I lifted it up while I pushed with my other finger in the back. And it really did. It slid out, or it slid in super easy. So that is much better than trying to force it. But we are now ready to do the rebuild of the shifter. So I'll go meet you on the workbench for that. Alrighty, so we have the shifter knob here, or the shifter stick, whatever you want to call it. And we need to get all of this stuff off so we can reassemble it. Number one, we need to get this off. So maybe a screwdriver can help break this plastic. Almost lost you there, Jesus. Whew. Let's mount you in a different way so you can see what I'm doing without me risking destroying my camera and thus my livelihood. Okay, now you should be much safer. So let's continue. Not quite. Oh, there we go. Perfect. All right, so we got that off. It's solid steel, probably, so that's all fine. We do need to cut this rubber off, so I've got my knife. Okay, so we'll want to clean that off in just a minute. The next bit, let's see if this actually fits. No, it does not. We need to trim. There's a tiny amount of rubber left on here, so we just need to work our way around and get as much of that off as we can. There it is, that's enough. Cool. So once you get that started, it's pretty easy to slide right off. This comes off too. And then the last piece is using a flathead screwdriver. We should be able to kind of finagle this off. Finagle the bagel. There we go. Just get in there and pop. All right, so before we reassemble this, we definitely want to wipe it off and clean it. And we still have to take that bushing off as well. Interesting. So this is actually two pieces of metal. You've got a top piece here, and if you look in there, there's a seam. So there's the center bit, and then there's this. So I don't know what the purpose is. They definitely don't feel like they're going to come apart, but it's not a solid piece of metal. And we don't care about this plastic bushing, so we'll just kind of force it off, just like that, and we're ready to reassemble. Okay, and this is basically the same thing that we just did, but in reverse. So we'll start by putting that plastic piece in. It does not appear to be directional, so it's symmetric in all ways. So just line it up and push it in. We also have another one of those clips with the teeth on it and another plastic bushing. So obviously we want those teeth to align. And that goes on. Metal side up, so that little plate goes on top. Next up, I need to get the replacement lower cover. And this is going to be a tight fit. Some people recommend using like a silicone grease or something. I'm just gonna hope and pray that I can twist my way to getting it on. And then we just kind of like work our way down, being careful not to tear or rip or force anything on here, because things will break. In fact, actually rolling it up like that helped a lot. And we can unroll it once it gets over that edge. And actually, if I'm very careful, I can use a screwdriver to help. Or some twisting motion. Oh, yes. There we go. Just like that. All right, so we've got that on. There are no tears that I can see, so we've got a good seal there. Fluid should not come out of this. That actually might have been the problem, is that it was torn, and so any fluid that you would put in there just kind of like bounced and splashed out. So having that rubber seal there is going to be very important, especially with having this grommet here as well. So we want to make sure that those end up getting sandwiched nice and tight. And we're ready for the brass fitting. All right, and anytime you have metal on metal contact, you want to lubricate it. So I'm going to lubricate it using the same fluid that we put in the turret itself. And you don't need much. So that's good to go. We'll leave it there. We'll just kind of rub some extra oil, some extra fluid all over this, and simply press it in. Just like that. And it's easy. And we can wiggle this a little bit, make sure that everything's all nice and lubed up. It should, wow, it's actually loose enough, especially with lube, that it'll fall right back off. So that's I think a good sign. Well, hopefully it's a good sign. Anyways, that is now ready to go back in the car. So I'm gonna wipe my hand off. I actually have no idea what this metal piece is. I didn't see it in Greg's video, so I'm gonna go watch it one more time, but I'll meet you back in the car when we're ready to go. Okay, I'm not ready yet. After rewatching his video, I noticed that this actually isn't on all the way, so we will make sure that this is lined up just like that. We'll pull this down, and then this actually needs to make it all the way down beyond that tiny little lip, and then that lip will help this rubber bit keep the seal better. So don't forget to do that. If you can't see that tiny little lip, then you haven't put it on all the way. So don't forget to do that. We are back in the car. We're ready to put things back together. Let's grab our shifter. And I've already had a problem just getting over here with this brass fitting falling off. So I'm gonna go ahead and take it off And I'm just going to stick my finger in and drop it down manually. Let's get my left hand involved. Ah, perfect. Okay, and then this just goes straight in. You have to make sure that that plastic piece, it'll actually align with this bit in the front, so you can't put it in wrong. Perfect. And then I just need to twist this to align all the holes, and we are good to go. So, an important point. I have a 1/2-inch drive set. These make it very easy to over torque literally anything that you're ratcheting. So unless you are very, very careful, and I don't recommend risking it, I would recommend just taking your bit off, your driver bit, and tightening it by hand. You don't want to strip these screws, especially since the turret housing has the threads on it, so you'd have to drill out and then hope. Is there a car behind me? Oh, delivery. My dad got a new printer. One of the big fancy kinds, so I might have to go help him bring that in. It's apparently 100 pounds. So let me screw this on real quick. All right, and I'll be back in a minute. Look what just showed up. I already got the bumper on, so I guess I'll just save these for the next time I take my bumper off. But, oh well. Anyways, this is feeling real secure, real nice. Oh my god. Already I can tell. That is so much smoother. I'm just gonna work that fluid through some of this. It just glides in. Oh my god, that's beautiful. Oh man, I am so happy. And now, time for the new cover. We do have to figure out those bolt holes though. So, let's see what size we can work with. So let's just double check. Here, I'll go under and get that. Fine. Very carefully. Hold that up. That looks like it will be supported well enough. I just need to get some tape or a helping hand or something that'll hold it in place long enough for me to screw it together. The other option would actually be, and I might end up doing this, is to screw from the bottom. I might actually do that, because I can support that easily with a piece of tape or something that'll hold it up, and then I can fit the boot over and push that through. So I'm going to go do that real quick. I'll be under the car, I'll push that through, and then I'll get some tape in there just to hold it in place for a bit, and we should be good to go. And now for the real tricky bit. We're going to start by putting the cover on. It's actually recommended to use some lube for this part. I think I might. Okay. That was a lot easier. Like, a lot easier. Went straight on. Okay, cool. So, now, the hard part is ahead of us. I don't want to do the easy ones just yet because, well, they're easy. I want to make sure that I can get the two difficult ones on first. So, let's try that. Okay, and so the way I'm keeping this in place is I'm applying kind of a force to it. So I'm going to torque the rubber seal so it just holds it in place ever so slightly until I can get the nut started. Gingerly. And we are on. I don't want to tighten it all the way yet, just in case we need some play. All right, now, round two. This is going to be the hard one. because I really can't get my fingers in place. So we're gonna try to use some tools. Okay, so I have some pliers, some needle nose pliers holding the screw in place. And I don't want to drop this, but I need it to stay tall. So let's see, what can we do? Maybe, the reason I didn't want to get under the car is because it's not jacked up right now. This would definitely be easier to do if it were jacked up. So I'm actually going to do that. I'm going to jack the car up and we'll be back. It'll be much easier to do this when it's up in the air. All right, so I got some help from my dad. I went underneath to hold the bolt in place while he got the nut on top. So it's really the easiest way to do this is just to tag team with someone else. So go get some help, do it that way. Your life will be so much easier. And same thing with the turret. We don't want to over tighten, so I'm not going to use the ratchet. I'm just going to get these hand tight. And just like that, we're pretty much done. We just have to put the finishing touches on and we're ready to go. So, installation. Don't want to mess that up. Nice. Get our somewhat beautiful center console. Let's make sure we run our wires. And if you don't have enough hands, you've always got a mouth, so use it. Now the final piece, the knob. And remember, there are multiple techniques. For getting the knob back on. I prefer the two-handed technique. It's a little bit faster, but you can use the one-handed, you could use your feet, I don't know. Just be creative, but I'm going to use the two-handed technique. Then when it gets really hard, you got to use one hand, but that's okay. We already sped up the process by using two. And it's just going to screw for days. You just got to go with it. Eventually it'll stop. Oh, we're getting well, it's a little too far. Back it up. We are done. Oh. Now we're done. Oh. Feels good. Feels real good. Well, no, we still got to do the mechanical checks, but the interior is finished for now. Or at least everything I'm going to accomplish while I'm at my parents'. Any other interior work is going to happen back in Philly. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, feeling really good right now. Feeling really, really good. So if you've enjoyed this process, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of this, subscribe, hit the bell notification. You'll get to see every episode as soon as it airs. And if you've got something to say, maybe you enjoyed this journey so far just for the interior. Maybe you've learned something new. Maybe you were motivated to do your own detail job on your own car. I'd actually love to see pictures and hear about what you're doing to your project car or your project in general. This channel has had a lot of car content because that's what I'm starting with. But I mentioned before, I'm going to be doing a kitchen renovation. I'm going to be retrofitting or renovating a garage so that I can do work on my car closer to home in Philadelphia. Whatever your project is, I don't care if it's Legos, if it's putting together an IKEA furniture set, whatever your project is, let me know, share it below, comment. I would love to hear where you're at with it. And other than that, this has been another episode of Zach Does It. I'll see you in the next one when hopefully we get to those mechanical checks and finish what we started about 2 weeks ago. But for now, it's been a pleasure. Pinky!